Let's go.
Brian Kandani, my man, thank you very much for coming. I appreciate you. Okay, Kandani, since we have limited time, kita sampai jam 12 doang. I'm just gonna dive straight to it, yeah. Okay, for context, I built this podcast especially for young men in mind, yeah. Karena I noticed that a lot of young men might feel a little bit lost, confused, and without direction, especially me myself gitu ya. Tapi every time I get to talk with people, especially older men, and then right now younger men gitu ya kan, I always walk away from those conversations feeling a little bit less lost, a little bit less stupid kayak fuck kayak that's a cool valuable wisdom that they get to give for me for free. Terus gue mikir kayak holy shit kayak mungkin gak sih bahwa ada orang-orang di luar sana yang kayak gue juga, young men who still have no idea what to do with their lives. Wouldn't they actually love to be able to hear these kinds of conversations, the values and the wisdom that people get to give for you for free gitu. Terus gue mikir kayak okay, that's cool, I wanna start this. Terus my ultimate goal in this podcast tuh sebenarnya cuma satu doang, which is number one, I wanted to enjoy this conversation, ya kan? And number two, I wanted to be able to understand my guest as deeply as possible gitu. And I think that the only reasonable way for you to understand your guest as deeply as possible adalah untuk ngerti backgroundnya dia dulu gitu, ya kan? Childhoodnya gimana gitu, perkembangannya gimana. Karena yang gue kenal dari lu sekarang, Kandani adalah ya Kandani yang sekarang. Gue gak melihat Kandani yang dulu kayak gimana. Jadi inget gak sih yang di gym, lu ngobrol ke gue kayak, semua orang ngelihat gue sekarang. Tapi mereka gak ngelihat gue ketika umur 9 tahun bikin konten gak ada orang yang nonton gitu, ya kan? So I guess my first question is adalah, can you walk me back to the story of your childhood? What did the young Kandani often think and feel during that period of time? What are the things that you walked through that allowed you to be the person sitting right in front of me now?
Yep. Okay. My childhood, my journey, right from the beginning, gue nggak mau kayak, gue bangkrut, gue mulai dari nol, gue miskin, terus sekarang gue made it gitu. Nah, cuman gue lahir di keluarga. Pas gue lahir keluarga gue masih quote unquote sederhana. Ya bokap karirnya lagi pelan-pelan berkembang, tapi pas gue lahir ya it's just the start. So gue lahir ya ada rumah, ada satu mobil, secukupnya dan lain-lainnya. Tapi as I grow up, ya puji Tuhan karir bokap juga naik gitu. Cuman till now gue bukan keluarga yang pulang-pulang ada Ferrari di garasi. Gue keluar negeri tapi nggak pakai first class. Gue nyaman, kita happy, cuman we're not that crazy rich, right? So for me, my background seperti itu secara ekonomi dari kecil. But few key factors di masa kecil gue adalah I'm just like the normal anak SD. But the key factors is gue nakal dulu. So dari TK, SD, SMP itu berandalan. Jadi kayak gue ya paling sebulan sekali orang tua dipanggil ke sekolah, 2 bulan sekali orang tua dipanggil ke sekolah. So dulu sebagai anak kecil pasti sampai sekarang kita punya banyak intrusive thoughts. Tapi dulu intrusive thoughts gue gak ada barriernya, itu langsung action. Iya, gue liat botol orang jelek, gue ambil, gue banting sampai pecah gitu. Iya, terus gue bosen di kelas, gue langsung naik ke meja, gue lompatin meja ke meja karena gue bosen gitu, gue jadi pengen parkour. Jadi kayak aneh banget. Iya, jadi
Lu autis ya sebenarnya?
dulu orang bercandain kayak Brian ini normal tapi 1% autis. Iya. Jadi kayak banyak kasus, mobil orang gue baret-baret kata kotor di komplek. Orang gue ajak berantem terus, guru gue todong cutter, bukunya gue injek-injek di lantai. Jadi gue kayak juga ya selama SD seperti itu. Throughout gue sekolah SD, SMP, SMA udah hampir ke DO 2 kali. Gue jadi murid yang dibenci semua guru. Bahkan kayak gue inget banget pas kelas 3 SD misal, gue gak bisa lupa. First day of school, naik kelas dari kelas 2 ke kelas 3. Gue datang telat, gue masuk kelas. Itu kan artinya orang baru tahu ya, oh ini sekelas sama ini, sekelas sama ini. It's the first day. Pas gue masuk kelas, satu kelas langsung kayak, iya sekelas sama Brian, ya sekelas sama Brian. Kayak jujur di situ gue patah hati kayak, oh iya gue separah itu ya gitu.
Lu baru nyadar di situ.
Ya terus kayak, Miss boleh ganti kelas nggak? Boleh ganti kelas. Cuman ya udah, I don't care. Like I do what I want.
Is the past ya jadinya.
Iya.
You mentioned before that you are privileged enough buat liburan, buat punya mobil, tapi bukan berarti lu punya pulang ada garasi. I wanna ask you about this ya. Kayak I'm thinking about this a lot. Kayak I think that one of my greatest blessing sekarang adalah gue cukup kaya untuk hidup nyaman, tapi gak cukup kaya untuk manja-manjaan. So, yeah, I was thinking about it kayak, I think one of my greatest privilege sekarang adalah bisa punya rumah di Peak, punya mobil sendiri apa segala macam. Tapi in the end of the day, I still need to work my ass off to build something that I can be proud of gitu. I think my question to you adalah kayak, do you think that being overloaded with privilege actually destroys young men?
Tergantung respondernya kan. So being born rich atau extremely poor is just the condition. Like condition tidak menentukan apa-apa, yang menentukan apa-apa adalah respondernya. So like the double edged sword adalah if you were born rich. Kemarin gue baru ngobrol sama salah satu anak, dia ya bokapnya total asetnya triliunan. Kemarin gue baru ngobrol sama dia, yang gue belajar adalah dia sendiri cerita kayak, with my privilege, dia bisa made it by the way. Dia bisa made it karena dia bilang simply, my safety net is too thick. Dan peluru dia banyak. Misal anak orang kaya, hey I wanna be a chef. All in ke kuliah chef paling mahal, masukin koneksi ke sini paling mahal. If you fail, lose all the money, ya udah anaknya yang lose all the money, bokapnya kan terus bisa suntik. Tar ke sini, tar ke sana, tar ke sini. So quote unquote mereka punya unlimited peluru. Sedangkan orang yang born rich, they have everything to fail. Lu udah all in ke kuliah, lu kalau nggak beasiswa, gue nggak bisa bayar semester berikutnya. Lu kalau udah kuliah, lulus, gue udah all in duit gue, lu nggak bisa make money after this, bangkrut satu keluarga, right? Yeah.
So it all comes back down to the respondent kan jadinya kayak, okay, let's say that you're overloaded with privilege, it's how you respond to it jadinya. Karena like in the end of the day, the way you think adalah, okay, I have a thick safety net and I have unlimited peluru, that's my privilege, I'm gonna make the best use of it, you're gonna be able to succeed as well jadinya, ya kan? All comes back down to your respondent. Cool. Okay, gue mau tarik balik to your childhood story because I think that's very interesting. Kayak you mentioned that kayak lu berandalan nakal apa segala macam. I think my question to you is kayak, what seemed to be the turning point here? Dimana you started to like, fuck man, I need to get my shit together.
Alright. So dan lanjut ceritanya, berandalan sana sini hampir ke DO 2 kali dan akhirnya pandemi. Right, kita sekolah Zoom. Di situ ya gue nggak bisa berandalan kemana-mana ya, gue berandalan sendiri. Misalnya gue itu tidur jam 7 pagi. Kenapa gue nyalain Zoom sekolah dulu, baru gue tidur. Gue bangun jam 3-4 sore. Tapi nilai gue bisa bagus karena gue jadi bandar nyontek. Ya jadi kayak si A punya apa, si B bisa apa, gue kayak nyambung-nyambungin orang. Tapi kan gue the middleman dapat semuanya gitu kayak. Gue jadi bandar di situ. Akhirnya ketahuan, gue hampir ke DO. Ya jadi kayak gitu kurang lebih. Terus gue kayak on bed rotting di kasur, main Mobile Legends 11 jam sehari. Pokoknya gue main sampai baterai HP gue habis. Gue cas, gue pindah ke iPad. Gue nonton sampai habis baterainya, gue pindah ke HP. So like it's just like it.
Damn, it's a cycle over and over again.
Kayak mungkin mandi sehari sekali gitu. Makan di kamar ya kan. Jadi kayak justru pandemi orang bisa makin dekat sama keluarga. Gue kayak jadi isolated. Terakhir ya gue inget banget pas pandemi juga kayak ada liburan keluarga ke Bali kemana. Kayak gue saking addictednya gue pengen pulang ke hotel duluan supaya gue bisa push rank sama party gue gitu. Jadi kayak ya gila. Dan kayak okay, the turning point menurut gue, that's one of the where I go deep kan. Karena the thing is with pleasure, with sin, dosa, nyaman, it blinds you kan. So di situ karena saking nyaman dan enaknya, gue nggak sadar gue terus digging a hole dan getting deeper and deeper.
You're basically digging your own graveyard kan jadinya.
Tapi eventually the shit smells bad enough untuk kayak lu kalau kecipirit dikit nggak berasa, tapi lama-lama numpuk juga ini banyak. Iya kan?
Gue paham.
Dan kayak one day ya ngeliat orang tua gue kecewa, lihat kayak I always been an ambitious kid dari dulu. Jadi kayak ambition gue ke Mobile Legend, kayak gue masa depan mau jadi apa. So it's like trigger seperti itu yang got me thinking kayak, man, I suck. I gotta change gitu. I was obese. Ya semuanya berantakan lah, nggak ada tujuan hidup. Dan di titik gue punya self awareness kayak, man, this shit is too smelly. Gue harus berubah gitu kan. Nah di titik itu dimana gue try everything untuk change. Gue nonton YouTube, gue nonton Iman Gatzi, gue nonton Andrew Tate. you gotta wake up at 6 a.m. and train. Oke, gue lakuin gitu. Gue bangun setiap hari 6 a.m. for like berapa ratus days straight. Gue never skip a day. Always wake up at 6 a.m. Straight away workout, cold shower, journaling 30 menit. Apa ya yang diajarin lagi? Eating healthy, read books. Gue udah baca this book. Gue udah baca that book, The School of Life. And kayak my self esteem is getting better, tapi gue deep down masih rasa the same emptiness, right? Dan di situ got me wondering kayak this thing works, tapi that's not the main point. So like gue in the position of desperate, gue coba segala macam hal. And by the way, gue tadi lupa bilang, gue lahir dari keluarga yang very very spiritual dari awal. So like my parents dari mereka dating, it was Christ centered, the marriage, when they have kids, right? So it's a very Christ centered relationship between my mom and dad, and that's the way also mereka juga do the parenting, right? So uniknya pas pandemi gue jadi ateis, right? Dan bukan cuma ateis, tapi gue yang nyerang dan debatin bokap gue terus. Tapi that day, just because I'm desperate, I tried praying again, right? Dan I tried praying not because I love God, not because I have faith in my prayer in Jesus Christ, tapi just simply comes out of my desperation. Kayak, I tried a lot of things, I want to try everything. Pokoknya gue mikir kayak gue harus berubah mau gak mau. So I tried a lot of things, ada yang works, ada yang gak works. So like gue mikir, gue dari kecil familiar dengan praying, it might work, who knows gitu kan. So gue berdoa with no faith, with no love for Jesus, tapi I just prayed demi kepentingan pribadi kayak, bisa jadi gue dapat mujizat gitu kan. So I keep praying, nggak ada rasanya, even I feel awkward and shame. Like tapi one day gue benar-benar dilawat Tuhan. So it's like a canon event for me, right? Dan kayak gue benar-benar merasa hadirat Tuhan. I feel peace. Gue merasa kayak the emptiness in my heart is filled. Tapi that day it's like 80%. Part of me masih kayak, Tuhan kalau lu beneran ada buktiin. Gitu. I was very skeptical. I was very logical, very critical. Kayak, okay, I feel you, but buktiin kalau lu beneran ada. And that way, looking back on my journey, Tuhan bener-bener ngebuktiin dia ada, bukan dia ada, He reigns over everything lewat karir. Gitu. Ada orang kan dapat mujizatnya tiba-tiba orang bisu bisa bicara, orang lumpuh bisa berdiri. Kalau gue bukan yang kayak gitu. Cuman gue Tuhan betul bener kasih lihat lewat karir gitu.
Gue coba ingat-ingat dulu ya sebentar. So what you were saying before adalah you started to change when you realized that the pain of staying the same is so much greater than the pain of change.
Yeah, exactly. That's how you sum it up into one sentence.
That's how you sum it up. Ketika tainya tuh udah bau banget, that's when you realize kayak, shit, I need to get my life together. Okay, love it. Tapi what I noticed from you adalah ketika you started to get your shit together, you mulai bangun pagi, you mulai cold shower, you mulai baca buku, you mulai workout, you mulai to be more ambitious, not in Mobile Legends, tapi in whatever you're building, you started to realize kayak, this works for me, but for some reason, I still feel empty deep down. And in that emptiness, it pushes you from desperation to find God. Dan ketika lu find God, that's when you realize kayak, okay, I'm still a bit skeptical here. Prove to me that you exist, and the way that God proves to you adalah dia berkatin semua your career gitu, ya kan?
Yep.
Can you talk to me what seemed to be the biggest blessing that God gave to you to the point that you realize kayak in your career like, shit, you are real?
Okay, so at first yang bikin gue bener-bener kayak, yo ini kalau bukan Tuhan siapa lagi, right? That part is I was 16, gue baru lulus Tech 4 SMA 1, gue lagi mau pindah sekolah ke Foundation. Kebetulan karena pindah kurikulum dan lainnya gue dapet libur 9 bulan. So in that 9 months gue rasa kayak, hey, why not coba magang 3 bulan daripada bosen. Jadi kayak gue bukan buat cari duit, tapi biar nggak bosen aja, just kill time, right? Nah, the way I get my first intern is crazy karena I was at church, di gereja. Gue bukan tipe yang extroverted, nyapa semua orang, kenal semua orang, but gue kalau di gereja mah ya sama teman-teman aja gitu. Tapi ada one day gue habis selesai ibadah, gue liat ada orang di depan lift. I used to love gym so much gitu kan. Dan this guy is a gym rat. Gue cuma tahu nama dia because it's familiar. Cuman pas gue ngeliat dia, kenapa di hati gue kayak ada dorongan untuk nyapa dia, kayak hah, ini bukan Brian gitu, kayak ini bukan gue banget, kayak nyapa tiba-tiba orang random.
Halo bro.
Iya, kayak terus basa-basi kayak ini bukan Brian gitu. Ya kan? Nah, tapi at that time karena suaranya begitu kayak resah, kayak why not just do it gitu kan. Akhirnya gue sapa, kok Kevin, aku Brian. Oh iya, basa-basi dikit. Malamnya gue di DM kayak, hey bro, come to the gym besok. Right? Come to the gym besok. I came. Right? Di situ cara dia nge-gym adalah dia nge-gym dengan orang kayak berlima, berenam. Lumayan rame, isinya cowok-cowok semua. And di situ gue bener-bener dapat kayak pencerahan, kayak di sini mereka nge-gym not only building muscles and he's damn big, tapi di sana ya pas lagi nunggu giliran atau lagi rest between sets, they talk about life, they talk about renungan mereka tadi pagi dapat apa. Yeah, and when they talk about life, their life is much udah jauh dari gua kan. They talk about kids, they talk about marriage, they talk about business.
Oh, they're older men ya ini, like 25.
Ada yang di sana, ada yang 23, ada yang 30, ada yang almost 50. Yeah, so like di situ gue as a 15-year-old terakhir kayak, wow, ternyata dunia itu bukan cuma soal Mobile Legends ya. Iya, kayak oh ternyata dunia itu sebenarnya
So freaking big bro. Yeah.
Karena itu gue setiap pagi nge-gym sama mereka, jadinya like every day, no days off. Ya dengan siapa kamu bergaul, kamu menjadi seperti mereka. Dan gue ketarik gitu sebagai anak umur 15. Dan one day gue bilang kayak, gue libur nih. Dia yang bahkan inisiatif kayak, magang aja tempat gue. Right, so itu kayak the first click kan. Without that, gue gak bisa ketemu community. Gue gak bisa ketemu community ini. Tanpa ketemu community ini, gue gak magang. Gitu, so through this community, gue bukan cuman di-build maturity-nya, mindset-nya, disiplinnya, tapi also spiritually. Right? Tapi lewat sini juga gue kebuka pintu untuk magang 3 bulan. Di situ gue ditaruh, ya Gen Z bisa apa sih? Bisa bikin konten. Ya udah jadi content creator. Gue jadi anak bawang paling muda di divisi marketing. Long story short, leadersnya, CEO-nya semua lagi meeting untuk campaign bulan depan apa. Ya anak magang disuruh denger-denger aja. Tapi gue raise my hand and say kayak, jujur idenya jelek. And I was like,
what the heck bro?
Siapa gitu, lo anak magang kan, ya kan. Cuman like puji Tuhan mereka kasih gue room untuk bicara and they were like, terus apa yang menurut kamu bagus? Gue punya ide, cuman gue gak pernah punya background atau pengalaman di marketing, so gue gak punya confidence jujur di ide gue, it's just sound cool gitu kan. Cuman gue pitch my idea, they love it, akhirnya somehow bulan depan dijalanin my idea. Gue pun di-involve lebih banyak di campaignnya, tutup bulan all time sales. Right, and that point kayak gue ngerasa, ini rasanya ya jadi orang berguna ya gitu. Kayak all my life gue dragging people down gitu kan, misalnya gue jadi beban keluarga misalnya, tapi di sini kayak gue benar-benar merasa kayak this is the first time gue benar-benar merasa berguna gitu, impactful ke customer mereka, ke bisnisnya, ke ownernya. Nah dari situ it triggers a crazy ambition di gue, kayak chasing the dopamine bahwa merasa berguna gitu. Selesai magang 3 bulan, gue ngambil part time sana sini, I was palu gada, so at total gue ngambil 6 part time jobs at once. Semuanya underpaid, I work Monday to Monday, tengah malam subuh. At its peak ya 6 ya, gue misalnya jadi model, gue jadi content creator fashion for myself, terima endorse, gue kerja di agency, gue jadi freelance content creator di brand A, B, C, pokoknya kemana-mana deh.
Ini orang yang nggak lihat kan sebenarnya.
Ini yang orang kurang lihat, iya, gitu. And everything was underpaid gitu. Ditanya layak atau enggak gitu. Cuman ya di situ yang bikin gua keep going is, ya kalau semua underpaid jadi satu berasa juga gitu. I was like, but I just turned 16, went from gaji yang sangat kecil karena magang, tiba-tiba jadi 8 juta, 10 juta, 15 juta per bulan. I was like, wah, I feel like the richest man in the world gitu kan. Gue jadi kayak raja dunia rasanya, kayak gila gue kaya banget ya.
Baru 15 juta.
Gue kayak umur 16 baru turn 16. buset gue 15 juta per bulan nih, kayak siapa lagi yang bisa gitu kan. Ya kan, jadi di situ gue kayak feeling prideful, gue feeling proud, gue even kayak push the limit even more. Then I get cocky, pride starts to build in me, and kayak Tuhan ya nggak sentil sih, cuman Tuhan ingetin aja ada realita bahwa lu kayak gini cuma 9 bulan, lu masuk kuliah lagi nih. Iya kan. Jadi gue bukan disentil, digagalin, bukan. Cuman ya pas gue masuk kuliah, oh iya ini part time gue harus lepas. Nah, di situ income, career, boom. Ya kan, consolidate. And it was instant kan, kayak gue harus lepas semua all at once pas gue masuk. Di situ gue rasa kayak apa sih gitu. Gue jadi kayak burnout as in kayak kok gue jadi gak ada apa-apa, kuliah terlalu gampang, kayak I know I can do more and I did more, way more. Cuman now I am doing nothing. Gue cuman kuliah jam 1 sampai jam 4 misalnya, pergi sama temen, kayak now I feel useless again gitu kan. Soalnya menurut gue when you feel useless pertama kali kayak you feel fine. Tapi if you already jadi useless, then you become useful, then you become useless lagi, it's like triple pain gitu kan.
Jadi sakit banget kan.
Ya, tapi menurut gue that part is necessary, karena if Tuhan langsung kasih perjalanan for this now, tanpa rapnya consolidate 3 bulan ini, hati gue gak akan siap.
Dude, that's cool.
I'm going to be prideful, gue mungkin kepeleset ke jalan yang lebih salah, so like that part, gurun kering, I think that's necessary ya. Dan di situ I realize everything, gue terus berdoa, bangun hubungan lagi sama Tuhan, and saat hati gue siap, Tuhan kasih lagi. Dan di sini kayak juga kayak kemarin sebenarnya, how my agency berdiri comes sebenarnya awalnya dari from a client gitu. So gue lagi ikut seminar, bisa pas banget kursi sebelah gue yang satu-satunya yang sisa kosong, si Cici ini namanya Cinia, dia datangnya telat, pas banget dia harus duduknya di sebelah gue. Karena duduk sebelah gua pastinya jadi networking, jadi ngobrol. Besoknya dia telepon gua, Cici pengen sharing dong di Instagram, kamu katanya bisa bikin konten, bantuin dong. Gua ketik skrip sendiri, gua pakai tripod 150.000, pakai mic 100.000 di Shopee, gua samperin rumahnya, gua syuting sendiri, gua edit sendiri. Like, terus tiba-tiba langsung ditransfer. Lumayan ya segini. Ya kan, gua di situ kayak lumayan ya gitu. And kayak jalanin beberapa bulan sama dia, gua jadi kayak mikir kayak, buset, 1 cinia bisa menghasilkan segini. Apalagi kalau gue punya 20 cinia, 30 cinia, 50 cinia dalam hidup gue. Harga gue naik as my skill naik. Gue kaya ya kalau kayak gitu. Gue mikir gitu kan. Cuman itu just a crazy vision, kayak bisa gak ya. Akhirnya bener, kayak nambah klien kedua, klien ketiga, klien keempat. Dan like at that timing pun gue rebranding my personal branding from fashion to education. Kayak di situ like 100.000 followers like in 2-3 months. Gue lagi viral-viralnya. Tiba-tiba klien banyaknya masuk. Jujur sampai ada poin gue gak siap, kayak kampus udah jadi kantor gue. Kampus buka laptop kerja gitu. Sehari ngedit 10 video pakai tetes mata, gue inget banget. Jadi gue kayak penjarain diri gue gitu. Gue inget banget ada whiteboard, gue tulis semua list konten yang gue harus edit. Checklist, tetes mata, ngedit gitu kan. Iya. Sampai ada poin kayak gue gak bisa nambah klien lagi sih. So gue hire freelance editor, remote editor. Akhirnya jadi ada ekosistemnya, jadi ada nambah tim lagi, semuanya remote. Gue rasa kayak uang yang gue hasilkan sekarang udah bikin gue confident kayak, kuliahnya dipending dulu. Tapi gue tetap finish well my program foundation, tapi sebelum gue masuk diploma atau year 1 kuliah, I took a gap year. Which now turn into gap years.
Gap years.
Iya, cuman ya I took a gap year. Gue pikir jangan setengah-setengah lah, gue langsung buka kantor, hire full timers. Kalau fondasinya nggak bener kan, gue diserbu klien percuma gitu. Ya it's a good problem for me kan. Dan gue kuatin tim gue, I was dumb, I was blind, I don't know anything. Cuman ya just nyemplung dulu baru belajar berenang gitu kan.
I think that's a good mindset to have.
Yeah.
Satu hal yang gue nyadar dari lu ya, kayak I noticed that I'm thinking about this a lot. Kayak there's a lot of in the blink of an eye moment gitu. Jadi what I mean adalah in the blink of an eye, you ketemu this friend from the lift, and then that leads to the gym session, and then that leads to you having your maturity built from those groups of people. In the blink of an eye, ketemu Cinia, and then it keeps on rolling right now. Karena kayak gue mikir kayak, I think kayak this is one of the things that I think about kayak, for konteks gue udah kerja bareng, bentar ya. Kayak, ya, oke, for konteks gue udah kerja bareng bokap tuh udah 4 tahun gitu, ya kan? And it's suffocating the soul out of me, honestly speaking. Terus gue mikir kayak setiap kali gue di mobil, gue mau turun ke toko di Mangga 2, gue berdoa sama Tuhan, God please make this as fast as possible. Gue pengen cepet pulang, because I don't like it here at all. Terus gue mikir kayak, I think as young men, our concept of time tuh sangat terkurung gitu. We feel as if like everything will stay the same forever. And then I realized kayak that's not actually the case gitu. In the blink of an eye ketemu Marco akhirnya jadi sini. In the blink of an eye bisa ketemu lu, mulai podcast ini, and who knows ntar ke depannya rolling kayak gimana. I think like one of the things that I really want to emphasize in this conversation right now adalah kayak understand that sebenarnya in the blink of an eye your life will change gitu, ya kan? But you have to understand to be prepared to accept the opportunity that arises gitu, ya kan? Make sure that you have your foundations right, make sure that you have your skill sets right, so that when that in the blink of an eye moment lu udah siap buat rekam that opportunity. That's cool. Okay, mantap. That's actually a very cool conversation that you had. Kayak you mentioned ketemu this brotherhoods, ya kan? Kayak I'm very curious about this ya. Kayak how important is mentors in your life, honestly speaking?
Ya. So mentors istilah kata kalau di gym kayak steroid. You can do it without mentors kan. Cuman you can do it much faster, less painful with mentors gitu. And to have a mentor, you gotta be wise karena gua kurang setuju sama statement yang di media kayak if you wanna learn about wealth, jangan denger orang yang lebih miskin dari lu. Gitu. Atau misalnya kayak lu lihat dulu kehidupan dia, lu mau nggak kehidupan kayak dia? Kalau lu nggak mau, lu jangan dengerin dia. Cuman kadang gue mikir lagi on the other side, menurut lu, LeBron James punya coach. Nurut nggak dia sama coachnya? Nurut. Kalau disuruh buy one sama coachnya, menang siapa?
LeBron probably.
Bantai 100-0 gitu kan. Cuman kenapa LeBron mau dengerin coachnya yang dia bisa bantai 100-0? Karena mau se-LeBronnya lu, mau nomor satunya di dunia lu, you have blind spots. True. Yeah, and your emotions bakal go up and down, especially as a high performer like LeBron, athletes, entrepreneurs. Dan in those moments where lu lagi fragile, lu lagi nggak stabil, bukan berarti coach lu nggak stabil kan? Yeah. Coach lu jadi baseline-nya lu. Coachnya yang selalu narik lu ke standards yang harusnya ada. So I think mentors is very very crucial sih.
Do you see your father as a mentor?
Of course, yeah, he's my number one mentor, of course.
Talk to me about him, man. Talk to me about him.
So my father is a mentor to many, a lot. Tapi for the maybe 15 years of my life, I never see him as my mentor gitu, right? Ada ya, memang orang bilang kayak bokap, kalau denger dari bokap sendiri beda, kita jadi lebih batu. Tapi ya once I break that stigma kayak, hey, this is my father, he's something, he's someone gitu. Dan what's so great about having your father as your mentor adalah your father is the most genuine one, and dia yang paling tahu tentang lu. You can have all the mentors in the world, mereka bukan yang besarin lu dari kecil. Yeah. Mereka bukan yang paling kenal emosi lu, tendensi lu, dan yang terbaik buat lu. Dan mentors kan nggak semuanya
wants the best from you.
Iya, yeah, right. Tapi the only people yang happy kalau lihat lu lewatin dia is only your father.
Exactly.
Yeah. So kayak success rate KPI bokap gue adalah Brian harus lebih jadi dari dia gitu kan. Yeah, so that's amazing.
What seem to be the 3 words that comes to mind when it comes to that?
Hero, sparring partner, and best friend. Yeah.
What's something that you genuinely admired from him?
Pendirian. Principles. So dia orangnya simple. Bukan gue bilang kayak kudet ya, cuman dia orangnya udah kayak apapun yang terjadi gue berjalan sesuai prinsip, right? Dan misal prinsip dia utamakan family time. Oke. Dia selesai dari Surabaya jam 7, enaknya buat dia nginep kan, besok baru pulang. Udah, tapi dia hajar pulang jam 11 nyampe rumah, to be able to talk with my mom, talk to me. gitu. So like family guy, berprinsip through all the challenges, prinsipnya tetap sama, bangun tidur berdoa, sebelum tidur berdoa. Like banyak non-negotiablesnya yang just very strong gitu.
Principles is definitely something admirable ya. That's definitely something to have. True. Okay, gue mau shift the gear dulu sedikit ya. Okay. Do you think that your mom is influential in your life as much as dad is?
Of course. It's just like the yin and yang kan. Ya kan, kayak of course dynamicsnya beda, of course pembicaranya beda. Cuman my mom is just my biggest supporter gitu kan. It's like knowing that even on your worst day you have someone yang cheering for you, your biggest fan, someone yang accept lu apa adanya. I think gue lebih ngeliat nyokap gitu sih, dan kayak juga bukan yang ribet, open minded, sederhana, prinsipnya, tapi ya pakem gitu. So, it's just like dia sama bokap ya sama,
Compatible banget ya.
very compatible, yeah.
I think it's so cool sebenarnya kalau dipikir-pikir kayak what does a healthy father do? Encouraging the son, go on. Terus. What does a healthy mother do? When you're just on the shithole, ketika tai lu lagi bawanya,
Dia yang bersihin.
gue yang bersihin. I still love you, And I think that's both important to have, ya kan? To be loved unconditionally and to be encouraged to go out there into the world.
Story gue inget banget, pikiran di memori di otak gue pernah berak di sana.
What? Wait, how old is this?
I think it was like 7, masih kecil lah. Gue inget banget nyokap gue dateng, dia lagi pakai baju rapi, gue nggak bisa lupa. Terus dia bersihin semuanya tanpa jijik, tanpa komplain. Terus udah gue habis itu bilang nggak apa-apa. Gue nggak bisa lupa that part. Mau itu bukan cuma analogi.
Bukan figuratively speaking ya.
Iya bener. Gue punya memorinya sekarang. Yeah. It actually is ya.
What's a characteristic that you want your future romantic partner to have from mom?
Good question. Thoughtful sih. Yeah, thoughtfulness.
Enlighten me.
Thoughtfulness is actually being initiative. Bener-bener bukan cuman menaruh posisi di posisi gua sebagai anaknya, tapi ya dia at some points, at some moments dia lebih kenal gue dari gue kenal gue diri gue sendiri.
That's cool.
And that's crazy kan. That's another level of thoughtfulness kan. Gitu. So I think being thoughtful sih.
Thoughtfulness, self-awareness, your ability to understand other people very well, yeah. That's great. Okay, shifting the gear a bit, yeah. We talked a lot about family and your uprising. Sekarang gue udah mulai ngerti kayak, karena like the whole idea of this podcast tuh sebenarnya kayak I wanted to see my guests in an unfiltered way. Karena like a lot of podcast tuh kayak, oh yaudah nunjukin semua technical skillnya, semua kehebatannya. Tapi like what I really want to see adalah, me genuinely speaking, adalah kayak ini. The human version of Kandani tuh kayak gimana. The human version of Marco Putra tuh kayak gimana. Okay. I want to move a bit to skill sets and principles, yeah. Okay. If there's a young man listening right now, yeah, and they're confused on what to do, on what to develop gitu, what do you think is the most important skill set that they need to first develop first?
Skill set menurut gue yang everlasting is communication sih. Orang selalu cari skill set ya, just let's see, mau di industri apapun, skill set yang paling kepake is communication ya. How you communicate is brings you to places sih.
Your ability to communicate ya jadinya. By the way, very sorry to shifting the gear all the damn time ya. Sorry.
Aman.
Gue baru ingat di skripnya gue tulis tentang God gitu. So fuck, I wanna talk about that. Okay. Have you ever felt far from God?
Of course, yeah, I was an atheist. But now,
No, yeah.
far from God is a term yang bisa lebih tepat. Karena God is never far. God is always there. It's just your eyes cannot see as clear as anymore. Your ears doesn't listen as sejernih itu anymore. Your heart is just not there anymore. So it's never God yang go far away. It's just you choosing the world, choosing the sin. Blokadenya itu. So God is never far away. God is here. God is anywhere. God is omnipresent. So merasa jauh dari Tuhan wajar, tapi jauh dari Tuhan itu nggak bisa. Lu mau orang paling najis dan kotor sedunia pun, God is still in you. So you are never far from God. You just cannot see Him anymore, right?
Apa sih di Mazmur Daud tulis, if I make my bed in the deepest hell, you're still there. If I make my destination to the furthest seas, you're also there.
He's everywhere, right? So gimana bisa jauh gitu? Yeah.
But the problem here adalah kayak oftentimes we're the ones putting up these blockades, ya kan? Our distraction with the world and everything. How can a young man, who is ambitious, who is driven, hungry, who wants to get his life in order, still pursues God and still be a man after his own heart? Karena I was thinking about this. Ini gue tulis juga di script kayak gue lagi mikir kan kayak okay, Abraham itu businessman loh, by the way, ya kan? He's rich. Yeah, he's a rich businessman, tapi he has a very close relationship with God. Daud tuh raja, he maintains a kingdom, ya kan? But he's a man after God's own heart, ya kan? Terus gue mikir kayak Jesus was a carpenter, kayak he builds shit very well, and then he still communes with the Father daily. So my question is kayak you can be ambitious and you can maintain a close relationship with God as well, gitu. So my question is adalah, how can a young man have both at the same time?
If I repeat your questions, lu tadi bilang how can a young man be so ambitious, be so relentless, be so performing in what they do while still loving God? I think simply the statement dari gua, why not just switch the lines? How to love God while also being ambitious. So
Prioritasnya ini ya.
it's just a different dynamic kan, gitu. Kayak sama aja lu ngomong kayak bisa nggak gue podcast sambil main HP atau bisa nggak gue main HP sambil podcast, it's just different, ya kan? Iya. So to rephrase that and menurut gue dari gue adalah you don't separate that, right?
Oh, that's cool.
Tadi kan lu separate kan?
Iya, dari gue pisahin.
Kayak main HP adalah terpisah dari podcast.
Iya.
Cuman gimana kalau kita main podcastnya konsepnya main HP?
main Mobile Legends sambil podcast.
like a streamer kan, jadi satu kan. So analogi itu menurut gue bicaranya gini.
That's actually a cool idea. I never thought of it that way. Yeah.
Gimana lu bisa tetap ambitious, relentless, high performing in what you do while also loving God?
Yeah, disatuin.
Because you love God and because God love you, you are a high performer.
Oh fuck, that's cool. I never thought of it that way. Yeah.
Yeah, you integrate things.
Dia disatuin aja ya kan, kenapa harus dipisahin gitu?
Like being ambitious is showing that you respect apa yang Tuhan kasih lu. Right? Being relentless is being brave karena you have God on your side. Right? Menjadi wealthy tahu karena you have a God yang punya the whole kingdom.
God damn bro.
Yeah, right.
Give me some time to process that. Itu baru kayak cahaya ilahi muncul di kepala gue gitu loh kayak, shit bro, that's actually cool kayak. Okay, I'm building a podcast and whatnot. The question is wrong. Gimana cara gue bisa bangun a podcast and still maintain a relationship with God?
No, this podcast is gitu lah. Ini ladangnya.
Adalah God entrusting me with time, with attention, with the talent to ask questions, with the talent to listen. Ini harus dikembangin. This is my way of expression my love to God gitu.
Yep.
That's actually a cool idea. Let me restate it again. You don't have to separate ambition and your relationship with God. No, your ambition is an expression that you love God.
Yeah, karena the moment you're trying to be ambitious while loving God, you are wrong already.
Yeah, itu questionnya udah salah. Gitu.
You're doing this with your own strength and without grace gitu kan. Right? Yeah.
Itu keren banget Bade. That's very cool.
Right.
Talking about God, ya kayak this is such a random question, nggak ada di script by the way. Apa sih satu ayat Alkitab yang lu selalu pegang sampai sekarang?
Well, my favorite one is Mark 8:36. So here it goes. What shall a man profit if he gains the whole world but loses his soul? Hey, what are you trying to after? Money? 100 juta, 100 miliar, 100 triliun. You can have all those with all the most beautiful wife ever, with the most cute kids, loving people. Tapi if you don't have God, if you lose your soul, it means nothing. Nah, secara konsep gitu. Tapi sayangnya istilah kata gini. Let's say this thing ini tuh worth everything, right? So kalau ini adalah barang paling mahal di dunia, kalau gua tuker sama rumah lu it's not worth it. Kalau gua, nah tapi sayangnya this soul banyak orang tuker sama hal-hal kecil. It's just like this pebble gitu kan. Ini kan dosa gitu. Kayak misal dosanya adalah gosip berkata-kata jelek atau itu kan sangat gampang untuk tidak dilakukan kan, daripada lu harus kasih semua rumah lu kan. Konsepnya dapet ya. Banyak orang mau tuker ini just so that they can gossip gitu. Like ini aja nggak compare to the whole world, tapi lu tuker ini sama kata-kata
Something yang kecil banget. I think kalau dipikir-pikir ya, that's basically the definition of sin gak sih sebenarnya, menukarkan Tuhan for something else that is small gitu.
No, sin is the definition of sin is missing the target, missing the mark. Ya, so just like lu main dart, ada targetnya. Sin is missing the mark, is not getting the point, gitu. Jadi menurut gua, people bikin strategi, bikin anginnya supaya ini, that's not the whole point gitu. Like it's not about your effort, it's about your heart. Apa yang lo lakukan terpancar dari hati gitu.
Tapi justru you said that sin is missing the mark, ya kan? So hitting the mark is not a sin, ya kan?
Being in the mark ya, benar.
What is being in the mark? Being in a mark is realizing that your life is selalu Tuhan dulu, ya kan? Bukannya lu tukerin dengan hal-hal lain,
Yeah.
right? Okay, right.
Word that I live by is it's from God, it's with God, it's for God.
From God, with God, for God.
Yeah. Everything.
That's cool. That's cool. Itu ini yang gue lagi I'm wrestling with at the moment. I realize that there's a lot of things that is easy for me to understand in the head, but it's difficult for me to live in the heart gitu.
Yep. Of course. That's the process.
Ya, secara konsep gue ngerti.
Gue pun juga gitu. Gue bisa ngomong kayak gini di podcast. Cuman gue pulang rumah bisa aja wrestling with this gitu kan. Iya. So it's not that easy to live.
Bener. Kayak ide-ide, prinsip-prinsip yang kita omongin di sini tuh sebenarnya gampang banget di ngertiin di kepala. It's very easy. Tapi sebenarnya dihidupin, diterapin di hati. Every time I turn on the camera, every time I turn on the microphone, pemikiran adalah from God, with God, for God.
Right? Yeah.
That's actually a cool lesson that I learned today. Definitely. Something that I really wanna walk away with, ya.
And itu jadi ngeprom lo kayak when you're trying, let's say when you're being anxious misal, kok YouTube gue masih belum sebanyak Rogan ya viewsnya.
Anjir.
Kok gue masih belum dapat sebanyak itu ya brand deals. Kok gue masih belum bisa studio di paling
Gacor-gacornya.
ya gacor-gacor podcast gitu ya. Dan question is, lu masih mau jalanin ini with God atau with your own understanding? Is this from God atau is this for God gitu kan? Jadi itu jadi nge-prom lu kayak itu raise your self awareness, kayak people wanna discern kan, kayak dari ini sama ini dua-duanya benar, gue pilih yang mana? Pilih kayak is this from God, is this with God? Karena if it is from God nggak mungkin melenceng dong, nggak mungkin harus nyuap dulu dong. Is this from God?
Lu kalau jalan sama Tuhan gak mungkin.
Tuhan nggak mungkin suruh lu nyuap gitu. Ya kan, banyak orang mikir kayak nyuapnya part is from the devil, berkatnya from God.
Nggak gitu.
Nggak bisa gitu kan. Iya. So is this from God? No, okay. Is this from God? Yes. When gue jalanin ini, am I with God? Gitu, am I with God? Sure.
Dan sebenarnya itu dia tahu kayak gimana caranya lu tahu ini dari Tuhan atau enggak. Ini.
That's the book. Iya.
Ya dibaca makanya, ya kan. Kadang kayak gue sering mikir kayak, oke, Tuhan mau apa di hidup gue? Terus gue mikir, gue semedi gitu kan, gue meditasi. Terus gue mikir kayak, Dev jawabannya di sini nih.
Yep.
Ini dibuka makanya.
Yep. Tadi you mentioned about the reason you make this podcast adalah rasanya kalau lu habis bicara sama orang yang lebih bijak atau berbeda industri, you said that you walk away after of the conversation feeling less lost, right? And what if I can say that lu bisa ngomong sama Tuhan, like John di Yohanes dibilang I am the word and the word is me. Itu when you read the Bible you're speaking straight away to God. Banyak orang malas baca Alkitab, they don't know esensinya kenapa gitu.
Bro, lu bisa ngomong sama pencipta langit dan bumi, man. Like literally.
If you get the point, ya.
Lu sebenarnya bisa podcast tiap hari bareng Tuhan.
Iya.
Tinggal taruh mikrofon nih Tuhan ngomong. But that's cool. That's definitely cool. Kayak I think you're the first guest yang kalau gue bisa tarik benang merahnya adalah kayak my big question di podcast ini adalah how can young men like me feel a little bit less lost.
Yep.
Every time I talk with people, benang merahnya tuh selalu kayak, oh, you have to be ambitious, you have to not be afraid to fail, you have to pursue your dreams, you have to figure out what you want, you have to be self-aware. Tapi I think you're the first podcast guest yang strike me as kayak your answer to my question, to that big question adalah, ini dulu nih,
Yep.
benerin dulu yang ini. First foundation adalah Tuhan dulu. Pursue God's heart, maintain your relationship with God. Itu, figure out what He wants, baru ntar dikembangin. Self-awareness lu, your lack of fear to fail, your ambition, your relentless pursuit, itu baru bercabangnya akarnya dari sini dulu. Ya kan? Terus gue mikir kayak, I think that's cool. Kenapa? Karena I noticed that there's a lot of men, ya, yang mereka kejar something, ya kan? Tapi ketika mereka udah dapat, they feel empty.
Yeah.
Tapi what you strike me as adalah, enggak bro, kayak you ketemu Tuhannya dulu, baru you kejar, and then you're not gonna feel empty. Kenapa? Karena lu udah diisi dulu sama Tuhan ini. Ya kan?
And gak ada yang dikejar if everything's by grace, right? It's from God, right? So kejar adalah hustle. So this is a very good point. Mengejar kesuksesan, hustling, anak muda hustling, it sounds great kan. Cuman here's the thing, literally everything is grace. Gue nggak mati sekarang, gue masih bisa nafas sekarang, is grace, gitu kan. Gue nggak punya kehendak atas jantung gue nggak punya kehendak atas. Bisa aja ada pesawat jatuh. Kemungkinan kan. It's the 000. We're living now for a fact it's by grace gitu. It's by grace mikrofonnya masih nyala sekarang. Jangan sampai gue ngomong ini mati. Everything is by grace kan. Dan lu mau sahasal apapun, if there is no grace you're dead. You're not only fail, you're dead gitu kan. So mengejar, technically lu bukan mengejar, lu cuman menjadi hamba yang baik yang mengelola talentanya. Gitu. So the word mengejar kayak you are always given gitu.
Yeah, I think that's cool.
Mengejar itu lebih definisinya adalah apakah lu orang yang bisa bertanggung jawab dengan grace yang dikasih. Iya.
Bukan mengejar tapi mengelola.
Udah pasti orang yang dikasih 10M harus bisa bekerja keras untuk mengelola 10M-nya. Iya, gitu.
Dan gue ngerasa kayak itu kan mengejar berarti kayak there's something that you're pursuing. Kenapa? Because there's a sense of emptiness di sini, ya kan? But I do think that if you mengelola itu kan berarti you udah menerima dulu, ya kan? That emptiness is being filled already. That's cool, bro.
Okay, so one question. Kalau gue hari ini kasih lu 100M, besok gue ambil lagi, does it mean something to you?
It does.
Tapi you never can spend the money. You can
never spend the money.
Lu misalnya mau spend buat mobil, gue tarik juga mobilnya. Gue kasih lu 100 miliar. 2 hari lagi gue tarik semuanya.
Ya enggak juga sih bro.
Enggak kan? So here's the thing. Something that is gained by hustling is maintained by hustling. Yeah. So kita sama-sama setuju bukan cuma dapatnya yang penting tapi maintaining-nya itu yang lebih penting. Betul ya? So if you gain something with hustle, you will need to maintain that with hustle. Cuman isn't it so beautiful if you can have it with grace and
You maintain it with grace.
right?
Gila, iya. The peace of mind that you have, ya kan, ibaratnya. Karena ketika you hustle and then you maintain with hustle, there's a lot of anxiety,
Yeah.
fear gitu kayak, oh shit, gue takut ngilang, gue takut itu hilang gitu ya kan.
Here's the enlightenment. If you gain things with hustle, you maintain it with hustle, then you always hustling kan. You become hustler. Maksudnya kayak in this today's world terms di mata Andrew Tate gitu kan. That's who you wanna be. Makanya you gotta be so careful karena banyak orang bisa punya banyak tapi tidak punya karunia menikmati.
Bro, that's fucking fire, bro.
Karunia menikmati kan.
Bro, that's fire. Kenapa? Because I see it with my own eyes. Gue melihat.
I don't only see people but I see myself gitu kan. Gue pernah punya jauh lebih banyak tapi tidak punya karunia menikmati.
Terus buat apa? Ya kan?
Ya kan?
That's your analogy tadi kan. Ibaratnya gue kasih lu 100M tapi lu gak bisa nikmatin karena besoknya gue udah ambil ya. What for? Gitu jadinya. Enggak, I think that's cool. Kenapa? Karena talking with a lot of men ya, at least like when they're 22, 24 yang very hungry, they're always kayak in pursuit, ambitious, tapi mereka gak bisa appreciate the things yang udah ada, yang udah diberikan. Mereka gak punya karunia untuk menikmati.
Appreciate karena you know it's grace kan.
Exactly.
Karena gini. Orang yang punya 100 rumah, 100 mobil, 100 triliun, bisa aja mereka nggak happy dan rasa ini masih lebih kaya, gue harus incer dia. Cuman ada somehow orang di pedesaan nggak punya HP, dia nelayan, sehari nangkep 2 ikan dibakarin istrinya, terus ngeteh ngopi bareng. Dia menikmati sekali tangkapan ikan dia.
Who's happier? That one.
Iya, nelayan ya kan. Jadi kayak bukan cuman berkatnya tapi karunia menikmatinya gitu kan.
I think that's something to be emphasized again. Like,
Karena banyak orang kaya miskin banget yang mereka punya cuma banyak uang.
bro, that's fire. Can you say it again?
Banyak orang kaya miskin banget yang mereka punya cuma banyak uang.
Banyak orang saking miskinnya yang mereka punya tuh cuma uang doang.
Iya, so kayak gue pede gue bisa lebih kaya dari orang yang punya 100 miliar gitu. In terms of definisi kaya gue.
Kayak definisi kaya lu apa bro, by the way?
If I have God, I have everything.
That's it.
Karena realistis in this world, everything is temporary kan. Even your parents, even your wife, even your kids.
My body, my mind.
I mean, your hand bisa aja amputated, hilang gitu kan. Then you have nothing actually gitu kan. You have nothing. Then if you have God, you have everything gitu. Banyak orang taruh meaning, taruh titik tumpunya di dunia. Nah, gue ngomong gini gampang kan.
Ngomongnya gampang bro.
Untuk hidupinnya kalau uang gue besok semua diambil, bisa jadi gue nggak tidur 8 malam.
Makanya itu dia.
Knowing this,
It's already a first step at least gitu.
if you don't know this, how can you live it? Gitu.
Bener, at least knowing is the first step gitu. And then living, that's the hard part. And karena kayak gitu kan, kayak gue sangat benci orang yang ngomong kayak, oh lu munafik anjir, lu ngomongnya A tapi hidupnya B. I mean, iya bener, but like bro, do you not realize how difficult it is to live by all of the principles that you said gitu?
No, it's impossible karena you're human. It's only possible if you're not human.
Makanya itu, ketika lu udah di surga tuh nanti ya kan, baru lu bisa hidup sempurna jadinya. But I think that's something that I really respect. Kayak at least you know, I know, then the next step adalah let's do it gitu, diterapin ya kan. Sebenarnya kayak kunci hidup tuh simple, gampang bro gitu ya kan, kunci hidup itu. Tapi sekarang yang diterapin yang susah itu.
Of course.
That's the difficult part. Kita tutup jam berapa by the way bro?
12 is okay?
Gas, mantap. Oke, kita tutup di jam 12 ya. Oke. Bentar. Nyontek dulu skripnya ada apa. Fitness, I wanna talk about this.
Fitness.
Yeah, this is cool. Nih. Okay. Right. For the young men who have no idea what to do with their life, I think that the best way that you can start is start in the gym. Start in the swimming pool, start in the cycling, start in the running track, whatever it is, physical fitness first. Learn to push hard, learn to show up, learn to be disciplined. You lifted weights, you ran, you swam, you cycled, semuanya lu sikat bro. My question is adalah, what have you come to learn about yourself through physical adversity?
Physical adversity is just building your pain threshold, I guess. Yeah. And kayak, if you see me with a bicep, itu bukan gue lahir with a bicep that round gitu.
Tunjukin.
Ada, tapi sekarang udah gak ada. Okay, let's say for me, if I run 42 kilometers, gue tidak terlahir bisa lari 42 kilometers. 42 kilometer itu adalah arti gue show up jam 6 pagi, lari 20 kilo, lari 15 kilo, for a certain lot of time dan nggak bolong, makanya gue bisa perform such way. So kayak it's patient, it's fair gitu kan. Gue liatnya kayak okay, ada genetik, cuman lu liat orang yang super rip mau dia pakai steroid pun dia show up di gym setiap hari, dia angkat keras banget gitu kan. Iya, jadi kayak no one's born bisa lari 100 kilo langsung gitu.
So cool ya, kayak your ability to go through physical adversity not only strengthens your physical fitness but also strengthens your mental strength juga.
Of course, and by self-esteem juga kan.
Yeah, exactly. Ya kan kayak I think that one of the best things that happened to me in the gym adalah bukan badan gue jadi makin gede atau apa segala macam ya, but my self-esteem is so much more built. Why? Because when I say 8 reps of bicep curls, even though I go through hell with it.
Ya, mau sampai keram-keram ya 8 gitu kan.
Ketika gue walk away, gue udah leg day, udah gak bisa jalan, udah kayak orang jompo. I walk away feeling like at least I'm not a lazy piece of shit there gitu. I did something right gitu.
Yeah. Karena in business you are always banyak X factor-nya bukan kendali lu. Karyawan lu tiba-tiba bakar kantor.
Ini nggak pernah terjadi kan?
Nggak pernah. Partner lu tarik semua duitnya kabur, ditipu klien. Tapi balik lagi, whatever happens in this life, lu selalu balik lagi sama diri sendiri kan. And the gym is basically lu cuma wrestle sama diri lu sendiri. Kenapa lu nggak bisa angkat 10 reps? Karena diri lu nggak mau gitu kan. Misalnya gitu.
Oh misalnya.
Iya. Dan gue as an athlete now kayak misal badan gue bisa di level 10, my body can. Cuman bisa aja gue end up di level 6.
Karena ini.
Di mind. Only my mind that can bring my body to level 10. Iya. Ya, beda. Gue pernah gue sering hard session setiap Rabu. Itu interval session, kita lari di track, ada coach gue, ada orang lain. I always push hard gitu kan. Cuman there's one day in this track kayak coach gue bilang kayak, kalau lu 800 meternya nggak pace gini, lu udah gak usah datang lagi. Lu udah gak usah mikirin race lu. Jadi gue kayak,
Fuck bro.
gak bisa. Dan di situ kayak pas selesai, gue kira kayak, damn, gue bisa push kayak an extra berapa, simply karena gue punya
Limiting belief di sini nih, limiting belief ya.
gue pecahin telurnya di pikiran gitu.
Lu ada ceilingnya di sini ya kan, terus harus dipaksa dulu baru pecah bang gitu.
And gue tanya my coach lu beneran mau buang gue kalau gue nggak made it? He simply says, I know you won't.
Oh.
Terus itu kayak, oke. Iya.
I think that's so precious to have gak sih sebenarnya? Men, older men, people who actually believed in you that nah, you're not gonna quit. Gue tahu. I know you're not gonna quit gitu. Either way, you're gonna make it. Gila. That's cool, bro. Okay, awesome. Physical adversity ya. Okay. Gas dulu sebentar. Next question. You ran for 42.51 kilometers, cycled for 113.38 kilometers, and swam for 3,800 meters. When your body starts to ache, when your lungs is about to give up, when you can taste iron at the back of your tongue, what do you say to yourself to keep going?
I am the wall.
I am the what?
The wall.
The wall.
Right? In marathon, so people always say ada temboknya gitu di kilometer 30, 32. Cuman aja I'm just keep saying I am the wall. When I am the wall, there's no other wall gitu kan. And kayak sebelum datang podcast ini gue udah lari 8 kilo, berenang 3000 meter tadi.
Kacau bro. Kacau.
Right, so yeah, other than entrepreneur, now I'm an athlete. Yeah, triathlete.
By the way, congratulations man. Kapan compete-nya nanti?
Compete gue nanti 1 November.
Di mana?
Di Langkawi, Malaysia.
Kacau.
6 weeks out.
Kalau misalnya di Jakarta mah aku mau datang gitu. Nggak di Langkawi Malaysia. Good luck man. Good luck.
Of course.
I wish you the best by the way. Okay. By the way, ini fitness udah selesai. Okay. Sebentar. Before I move on, is there anything that you want us to talk about that we haven't talked about?
So far, you're driving the conversation so well. So good to hear. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Never had a podcast with this dynamics before. Biasa podcast gue udah hafal semua jawabannya.
Oh lu udah template ya di kepala.
Bukan karena gue mau template, karena yang ditanya itu doang.
Lagi.
Ya, saya dulu kerja keras, saya ini ya gitu kan. Yeah, love this podcast man.
Appreciate it bro, appreciate it. Yeah. I think deep down that's Okay, bentar ya. I think like my entire goal of this podcast is to enjoy it as much as I can. And for my guests to enjoy it as much as I can. We talk about this off mic, ya kan? Karena kayak gue mikir kayak gini loh, kayak fucking hell Dave, kayak Marco bisa, again gue balik lagi ke Marco, karena Marco is like quote unquote the biggest one here gitu. Gue mikir kayak Marco tuh ngomongnya udah berdaging, udah bervalue apa segala macam, tapi I walk away feeling like that's a complete flop. Why? Because we don't enjoy it as much. But kayak kadang gue sekarang mikir ya kayak Dave, you nyadar gak sih ketika karena lu gagal sama si Marco, lu bisa berhasil sama si Ashwin, lu bisa berhasil sama si Brian. Kenapa? Karena lu nyadar bahwa in the end of the day what really matters tuh bukan ini, bukan technical, bukan ini, tapi kita nih. If we enjoy this, it's a W.
Right.
Terus gue mikir kayak I think that as young man, failure is just a season of your life dulu gitu. Fail, and then baru mulai bang gitu. Jangan ketika you nyadar kayak, nah, I know what really matters in the end of the day. Enjoyment ini.
Really matters.
What is it that really matters ya kan? For you, you found it. What really matters? Not money, not ambition, not women, not cars, not whatsoever, not career. Tuhan dulu gitu. And then that's when you realize kayak my life starts to get
Right, exactly.
Itu dia kan. So I think that's literally the question kayak if you're a young man listening right now and you feel lost, ask yourself the question kayak what really matters in your life. Cari tahu dulu itu, ya kan? Figure it out. Okay, nice. We have like 20 minutes left. I want to move on to the final chapter
Alright.
on life, ya kan? I love this conversation ketika our first conversation in the gym, ya kan? Pertama kali kita ketemu, gue ngomong ke lu kayak, Bray, you nyadar gak sih bahwa ada beberapa cowok yang wake up late in their 28, ada yang cowok yang wake up early in their 16 and they get their shit together. Terus jawaban lu tuh literally like pecah kepala gue gitu. You break my mind with this. You bilang kayak, menurut gue gak ada yang telat atau gak ada yang kecepatan sih, it's all God's timing. Terus gue mikir kayak, tuh anak klise banget ya anjir gitu. Tapi enggak, I walk away from that conversation terus gue mikir, is it true that sebenarnya it's God's timing? Terus gue mikir lagi kayak, anjir beneran loh. Kenapa? Karena gue tahu nih di Alkitab ya, Abraham umur 80 baru disuruh keluar tuh, ya kan? Dari tendanya si bokapnya. Daud dari umur 15 udah mulai bunuh Goliat. Terus gue mikir kayak,
Who's better?
ya who's better? Not. Gak ada anjir gitu kayak. The fact that you get to wake up quote unquote early and me getting to wake up at the age of 21, we're not special bro. Dengan orang-orang yang wake up di umur 28 baru nyadar kayak fuck I need to get my life together. Enggak ada yang tak.
Marco gitu kan?
Marco gitu. By the way, hi Marco gitu if you're listening.
Marco 26 ya baru. Gue terakhir ngobrol sama dia.
Dia tuh bilang ke gue kayak, Dave, anjir lu umur 21 cowok gitu loh. You're 21, you have a lot of time. Like, understand that kayak gimana ya, kayak gini loh. This is something that I'm thinking about as well kayak. I think it's good for young men to be surrounded with older men. Why? Because we realize kayak kita kekurangannya di mana. We realize what we could be, but the fact that we are not what we could be. Tapi that shouldn't make us feel insecure or that shouldn't make us feel kayak gue harus kayak gitu anjir gitu. Enggak. Kayak at least it gives you something to work for. It gives you something to strive for. Oh, gue nyadar bahwa gue masih immature di bagian sini. This is something that I can work on. It actually gives us a sense of direction, a sense of meaning in our life. Kayak okay, at least walaupun gue gak tahu mau ke depannya kayak gimana, gue bisa kembangin di satu hal ini yang gue gak bisa, yang gue masih kurang. Terus gue mikir kayak, gini loh Dave, you need to understand that in the end of the day, gak ada yang cepetan, gak ada yang kelambatan. Everyone is in their own timing. What really matters adalah ketika sekarang you udah dapat nih timingnya lu, you give your best gitu. As an expression that you genuinely love God gitu. Ya kan? So my question to you adalah kayak, I built this podcast for younger men. Tapi gue lagi bayangin kayak, maybe if there's an older man out there, 28, 29, dan mereka ngehabisin waktu umur 20, mereka kayak fucking around, messing around, and they haven't built their life, and they really want to start getting their life together. What is your message to those older men that realize kayak, shit, umur 20 gue hilang?
It's never gone. It's spent for something. Maybe your 28 years of being useless is necessary, right? And know about Kronos dan Kairos. Kronologi. Kairos adalah waktunya Tuhan ketika Kronos itu bertemu. So ini mungkin agak theological, cuman correct me if I'm wrong. Audience correct me if I'm wrong. So yang gue pelajarin kemarin, ini kayak timeline nih. Lu dulu kakak kelas gue, kita sekolahnya sama, kita berpapasan at least 10 kali ada kali, kita cuman beda berapa grade ya, cuman kita gak pernah nyapa satu sama lain, kita gak pernah bayangin ada versi diri otaknya kayak sekarang di meja ini ya kan.
Dude, that's actually funny kayak, gue di umur 17 gak bakal nyangka bisa duduk bareng Kandani bikin podcast.
Iya.
Gak ada bro.
Right, so kita jalanin Kronos kita masing-masing, ini lu, ini gua. Timeline-nya jalan, naik turun, terus kita ketemu lagi di gym. Boom, itu Kairos. Pertemuan kayak, pertemuan yang punya arti setelah kita menjalanin bagian kita dulu. Kalau gua gak pernah kerja, dan gua gak pernah personal branding, gua gak pernah podcast, gua cuma jadi anak kuliahan biasa, saat gua ketemu lu di gym, lu mungkin udah lupa gua siapa. Cuman lu inget gua siapa di gym karena lu liat konten gua juga. Tapi satu sisi kalau lu nggak punya podcast,
gak bakal ada ini juga anjir.
Cuma nyapa doang, bro, iya lu dulu kakak kelas gua. Gone. Ya. Ya di situ Kairos terjadi setelah kita punya Kronos kita masing-masing gitu. Ya.
Dan itu prinsipnya bisa diterapin in pretty much everything kan sebenarnya. Kayak think about it, kayak the fact that you get to meet your siapa sih Kevin ya kan? Kevin itu konsepnya sama kan? Kairosnya ketemu timelinenya, ketemu Cinia juga sama ketemu gitu ya kan? Kebayang nggak kalau misalnya lu masih anak berandalan yang masih nggak tahu mau ngapain?
Ketemu percuma.
Ya, lu ketemu di seminar terus tiba-tiba, oh hai Cinia, udah selesai, that's it, nggak ada apa-apa ya kan? Tapi the fact that you build your experience in the content side, baru bisa kayak pak, let's go gitu ya kan?
Buang kata ini dari vocab lu adalah telat ataupun early. Kayak I am not early, I'm in my time. Iya. And if I make more than you yang 40, I'm not better than you, I'm not special. I'm just early. And I'm not early. I'm earlier than you, but I am not early, I'm in my time. Yeah. And you're not late, you're in your time.
Itu doang kan? I think that's a beautiful thing too.
Tapi kenapa orang prosesnya itu bisa lama? Just simply mereka nggak obedient. Ya.
Ingat gak sih cerita
Israel.
Iya.
Kenapa muter gitu di padang gurun? It's just mereka nggak obedient.
Iya.
Makanya tadi missing the mark. Nah, if you miss the mark, lu nggak tahu belajar apa dari keringnya ini, lu jadi nggak obedient, lu jadi nggak bergerak ke next ininya lagi. Iya.
Itu kayak gue pernah dengar this idea yang pernah bilang kayak Tuhan bakal kasih lu pelajaran hidup lagi dan lagi sampai lu belajar. Kalau lu gak belajar lu bakal dikasih terus.
Mati lah di situ. Banyak orang sampai mati kan di padang gurunnya. Iya.
Cerita yang di padang gurun ini, this is actually it could be applied to your life juga kayak make sure that you learn to be obedient. Kenapa? Karena kalau lu enggak, udah lu muter terus tuh, diputerin Tuhan sampai gak nyampe promise land-nya jadinya.
Right.
Obedience is key ya jadinya.
Obedient.
I'm enjoying this conversation so far.
Me too.
I really appreciate you. Okay, Gus, kita harus speed round nih. Udah, 2 questions left. What's something that you're deeply proud of
About me?
in general?
My faith that has already been proven through seasons. Karena are you really loving God, fearing God, and faithful to God in moments where semuanya masih flat? It's hard to tell. Easiest way to tell your love, where your heart belongs, where your mind belongs, is either only in 3 extreme conditions. Either lu stagnannya lama banget, hati lu kemana-mana nggak, cari yang baru nggak, or either kayak lu dapat spike yang tinggi, which I got, tiba-tiba berkat, your heart will still be the same or not. Oh ternyata cintakan uang atau enggak, atau when everything is taken away from you, where your heart belong. So what I'm proud of is, of course gue ada ups and downs-nya, also in spiritually, cuman my faith has gone through those seasons, tiga-tiganya. And kayak it doesn't stop there. There's going to be more giants, right? It's not about giants yang harus lebih kecil. I just need to get bigger. Right?
Dude, one of the things that I just absolutely love from what you said adalah kayak ketika you said that your sense of self-worth, the most important thing in your life adalah Tuhan. Why? Because that's practically the only thing that cannot be taken away. Sebenarnya. Kayak you can be given seasons of stagnant, you can be given seasons of high.
And it's from God, right?
Yeah,
it's with God, it's for God, right?
From God, with God, by God. That's basically the title of the podcast. Brian Kandani, *2, from God.
With God and for God.
Okay. Gue udah tahu tuh title-nya gimana. Yeah, but in the end of the day kayak, I absolutely kayak, I think I really want to emphasize this gitu loh. Kayak, for those out there who are listening, kayak, in the end of the day, ketika lu punya Tuhan, it sounds so cliche, I know, it sounds so cliche. Ketika lu punya Tuhan, lu punya segalanya. Why? Because no matter the season, mau di highs-nya, mau di stagnant-nya, mau di absolute lows-nya, ketika semuanya diambil, if you have God, you're happy, man. You're good. This is something that I'm thinking about juga ya. Cliches are cringe, but think about it. The reason why they're cliches adalah karena mereka diucapin berkali-kali.
Karena that's what matters the most. Orang cari yang sounds cool, sounds new.
Yeah, exactly. Tapi in the end of the day, cliches are timelessly true gitu loh. Dari orang umur.
In order to become cliche, gotta be repeated extremely a lot.
And if it's repeated extremely a lot, then it might be true gitu loh, ya kan? Itu dia gitu ya. So yeah, that's cool, bro. Okay, final question before we wrap things up. By the way, okay. I always end this podcast with this question in mind.
Okay.
So the beginning of the podcast tuh selalu dari childhood. the end of the podcast adalah the end of your life. So my question is, what is a good life to you? What is a life well lived in the end of the day?
A life well lived is when I live on God's will aja. Like I spend my whole life um, I live full and die empty gitu kan. I live full, bukan full of money, tapi full of fulfillment, that I know that God's will ini buat gua and I've done it. Gua tahu Tuhan udah, mungkin Brian sekarang masih di level 2. Tuhan udah siapin course sampai level 100. Brian bisa nyampe ke level 100 atau enggak, again obedient, faithfulness, consistency. And kayak living full means kayak gue tahu Tuhan bikin Brian kapasitasnya 100, gue nyampe 99, gue nyampe 100. And when I die empty with no regrets, with no I should have done this when I was 18. Like that's living full and die empty. And hopefully what I'm trying to do when I have time in this world, who knows berapa lama, the kingdom that I'm building is not the kingdom of this world but the kingdom of God. Yeah. Yeah.
Living full and dying empty. I think that's beautiful, bro. That's beautiful. Brian Gandini, thank you very much, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, guys, we're done. In 3, 2, 1, wrap up.
All right.
Okay, cakep banget.
Great one.
That was good.